What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update for you guys, and we're going to start off with some potential outgoings. We brought you the story of Tanguy Ndombele yesterday, so let's start off with him. And Aksam Gazetski, reporter out in Turkey, says that Fenerbahce are to increase their offer for Ndombele from 10 million euros to 13 million euros, and there is a belief the transfer could be agreed at that price. I think it's a fair price, to be honest. I mean, we did pay well over the odds for him, and I don't see us really getting any more money than 13 million euros, and if that can get the wages off the books, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't think the agreement between the clubs is going to be the problem. It's going to be Ndombele himself. There's already reports that he doesn't want to go to Turkey. Are they going to be willing to take on the wages provided? And they're going to have a big job convincing him to go there. So whether this deal gets done is still a long way to go, in my opinion. I think if a team in one of Europe's top 5 leagues come in for him, I think the deal is a lot easier to do. But unfortunately, if he doesn't want to go to Turkey, then I'm not sure what we do in that sense with this deal. So it's a bit like, Sanchez going to Russia. He didn't want to go there. So as much as we agreed the deal didn't happen. Yeah. So it's about whether we can convince Tanguy that Turkey is a good destination for him, I guess.
Lovely weather, lovely beaches. Why not? I think it would be a great move for him. Tanguy, Turkey's a great place. I think you should definitely be open to that.
Maybe Delhi can put a word in.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know, actually. But let's move on. Let's talk about Giovanni Lo Celso. Gazzetta Italia says negotiations between Spurs and Napoli for Lo Celso are expected to continue in the coming days. Talks were put on hold while Spurs focused on other matters. Javi Miguel says that Barcelona are prioritising the signing of midfielder Giovanni Lo Celso and Bernardo Silva with their two main targets. I mean, with his pre-season, how good he was in pre-season, it's weird that these links are not going away for Giovanni.
Well, not really, because clubs are going to be interested in him as much as we maybe want him to stay at this point, given that we think he can be a valuable member of the squad. In fact, there was interest before pre-season, and his performances are only going to increase that interest because of how well he's played. So I wouldn't completely rule out this sale, to be honest, because I really do think Tottenham are open to selling him at the right price. Now, that price is going to be more than they were probably demanding before pre-season. But if Napoli or Barcelona come in and hit us with 25 million, I think we probably accept it and go and sign a replacement. And maybe then, if that happens, maybe you might see Spurs really push for Eze. But do I see Barcelona? I don't have that much money. They've only been signing free transfers so far. So whether they're intending to spend a lot of money on Lo Celso remains to be seen. Maybe Napoli could be, given that they won the league last season. I don't know how much money that brought them in, but maybe I don't know how busy they've been already this summer. They're about to lose Zielinski, it looks like, to Saudi Arabia. So maybe there is some space in the squad for Lo Celso for them to spend 25 million for him.
Did they make a big sale this summer, Napoli?
Kim Min-jae, 100 million.
Oh, that was it, Kim Min-jae.
That's also a good point, yeah. So they might have some money. So maybe not 100 million, sorry. How much
about
was
60,
it?
I think.
60 million. So maybe that is a case that they'll be interested in him and we're willing to meet our asking price. So I wouldn't, as much as I would like him to be part of the squad, at the end of the day, he's not the number one right now. Madison's there. It's going to be tough for him to earn that spot in the first team. And maybe he would consider a move away.
And let's be honest, his contract is winding down. He's not first choice right now with James Maddison there. And I think, if it meant selling Giovanni Lo Celso and us going for Eze, I'll be 100% for it, but I just question if we could ever match what Crystal Palace want for Eze this summer. And I question if Crystal Palace will even let Eze go at all this summer with them losing Zaha and Elise pretty much in the same window. So probably look at maybe other targets. I mean, another target which we could look for if Lo Celso was to go is Gabri Veiga. He hasn't gone anywhere yet. He's been tearing up La Liga over the past couple of years.
Neither was Kudus.
Mohamed Kudus as well. 100%.
They're talking about 35 million.
I'd love a gazump of West Ham as well.
If they're talking about 35 million for Kudus, it makes a lot of sense to, even if we take 20 million for Lo Celso and go get Kudus.
100%. 100%.
But if Lo Celso is still here as well, I think he can still be a good player for us.
But there's plenty of players on the market that represent good value. And if we can get a Lo Celso out for 20, 25, maybe even a 30 million deal, then I think that there are probably players around that ballpark figure which will come in, younger players and have a much bigger future here at Tottenham.
Exactly. So I wouldn't completely rule out, as much as he has definitely played his way back into Ange's plans.
Yeah. Let's talk about Eric Dier now. 90 Min are claiming that Dier is receiving interest from clubs all around the world, with the player not in Tottenham's immediate plans. Al Nassr, Monaco, Benfica, Celtic, Crystal Palace and Sporting Lisbon all hold an interest in signing Eric Dier. There's quite a number of clubs there all around the world.
Or maybe a return to Lisbon's in the offing, a homecoming for Eric Dier potentially. I think that other teams could find a use for him. I just think the way we're playing, look, I do think Dier does have his qualities. I don't think he's obviously he's not very quick, but I do think in terms of his ability to play out the back and his passing ability for a centre back is okay. He's got decent aerial ability. So I think he would be he's obviously an England international, so I do think he would be of interest. Well, he's still technically an England international. He hasn't retired from international football yet, so he can cling on to that status at the moment. So I do think there would be some interest. Obviously, none of those clubs are big clubs, but maybe a Lisbon would be interested. But whether would he want to go back to Portugal? I think he'd probably want to stay in England, if I'd imagine.
Crystal Palace, can you see him getting in the team there?
Part ahead of Anderson or Guehi? Probably not. No, probably not, but he could be a good option for them.
What about somewhere like Monaco? Nice tax-free life, Liga. Monaco's not such a small club either, you know?
And maybe it could mean we can get Tosin.
Well, if that was the case, I think that would tick all the boxes, to be honest. It really would.
If I'm Monaco, I would go for Tosin, obviously.
Yeah. Let's talk about some potential incomings now. Gift Orban once again. Sasha Tavaleri says that Ghent will not sell more than one striker this window. Gift Orban seems to be the most likely one to go, with Tottenham's move for Gift Orban expected to further accelerate this week. I've been reading further stats into this guy, and it's just made me even more convinced that we need to get this guy. The highest rate of non-penalty goals in Europe, higher than Erling Haaland. Yes, there's a caveat that he's playing in the Belgian league, but Data MB's told me that he'll score anywhere, so don't worry about that.
He scored every chance as well, so in every game.
In every game.
Exactly. So, look, we've said it already, like how much we are in favour of this transfer. I think it makes complete sense for the money you're paying, for the potential, the pros could be massive if you get this over the line. So I think it provides good competition for Richarlison. He doesn't come in with too much pressure of being the number one striker immediately. I don't think he comes in and people saying, oh, he's our Kane replacement, because I think at the moment Richarlison has that mantle. So I think it works on every front. Obviously, you got to be wary of the fact that of the league he's playing in, and if he's going to be of the level. But we've seen examples now, so many. Just have to look at Brighton and Brentford and other teams who are scouring lesser known leagues for talent, and it's being translated into the Premier League. So I think we've got to look at that and say we should give it a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for this transfer. I've been saying it all along, but the problem I see with it potentially is the problem that we have with Heung-min Son, because I'm not sure if he's suited to that role out on the left, which means that to play him more, he has to come more into the centre. And if he does come more into the centre, where does that leave Richarlison? Where does that leave Gift Orban? And who's going to play for us out on that left-hand side? Obviously, you've got Solomon and Perisic who can fill in there, but that does leave us with problems within the squad.
Yeah, it does, and it's something Ange has to sort out. It's a bit of an awkward issue right now. Look, it's only been one game, and as much as, yes, in pre-season and yes, in the first game, Son definitely doesn't seem so suited to that role he's being asked. Maybe if Ange can adjust it so he doesn't have to be so wider, and maybe he can be a bit more central whilst being on the left, or maybe Udogie can sometimes take that role. I'm not quite sure how he would adjust it, but I think there are ways he can tweak the system to maybe suit Son a bit more if it's really not working. But if he does become a central striker, look, there are big questions, but they're good problems to have, I would say, because there's good options.
Yeah, if that does come to pass and he does move Son a bit more centrally, and let's say we do sign a Gift Orban, what do you think that means for Richarlison and his future at this football club?
It's tough to say. It would definitely say that he doesn't trust Richarlison if he's moving Son centrally and dropping Richarlison when he was, by all accounts, seemed to be given the mantle of playing our striker this season after Kane's exit. So I think it would definitely be a hit to his confidence. But I think it's so early to say about players' futures and stuff like that. I think it's too early to say he's got, his future will be in doubt. But I definitely think he can play that role, and it's on him to prove to Ange Postecoglou that he is a striker who can get goals in his system. Right now, it's very early doors, and he has a lot of proving after last season's disaster, but I think he can do it.
I agree. Next up, let's talk about Wilfred Gnonto of Leeds. Rahman Osman says that Tottenham are monitoring Gnonto's situation at Leeds. Everton are leading the race, but Spurs are now not too far behind. Can you envisage another Dan Juma situation coming along?
None too far, you say?
None too far.
I like Gnonto. Why Dan Juma? Taking him off Everton. I like him. I think he's a good winger. I think it's a good. I think it would be a good signing, and I think it represents again Tottenham looking to the future. But signing Gnonto, I don't think for me moves the needle massively in our forward line. We have Perisic, we have Solomon in that position on the left-hand side. So signing Gnonto, I don't think in the short term is a massive improvement. I think in the long term, I think he can develop into a really good player, and he's already developing into a good player. And I think he comes in and he can do a good job out the left, but I don't think signing Gnonto and then looking at our forward options, I'm like convinced. All right, now we're there, kind of thing. I think we still need a lot of work to do on top of Gnonto.
I love Gnonto. I think he's a top player. I think he's got good dribbling ability. He's fast. I was really impressed with what I saw from him in a Leeds shirt. He's already had a number of caps for Italy as well. Only of 19 years of age as well. Super impressive, to be honest. If we were to sign him, do you envisage him getting a lot of game time?
I think Perisic would have to leave, I think. Well, because what's the point of having Perisic from Solomon and Gnonto? I don't see the point in that.
Well, I'm guessing probably Solomon, he'll shift them over to the right, because we need more players on the right. We've got Kulusevski there, but no one really, Gil, I guess. But
then I get that, but if Solomon's predominantly on the right, I don't think that's his most comfortable position. I don't think he looks as natural on the right as he does on the left. As much as I think he can do a job there, I think we've signed Solomon as a left winger. I don't think we've signed him as a right winger. We've signed him as a player who can play on both wings, but I don't see Solomon on the right as a player who's going to be that effective. But then again, we do need a player who can really... we don't have a player right now who's comfortable going on the outside and getting crosses in, and maybe that's what Solomon can do. But I haven't seen anything from Solomon in terms of his crossing ability and chance creation to tell me that the left-hand side is the right-hand side, is going to be a good fit for him.
Having said that, it's only a small sample size on Solomon, isn't it? I mean, there's not much.
Yeah, but
much
during his career, he's not been a right winger. He's played there, but he's not been there naturally.
Yeah, I know that. But players can adapt as they progress throughout their career. Let's talk about Brennan Johnson. Jacob Steinberg says that Brennan Johnson is a target for Tottenham. It may take about £45 million to convince Forest to sell the winger. I mean, we've spoken about this so many times now. The updates are all the time the exact same thing with Brennan Johnson. I can't see us spending that kind of money on him.
No, especially if, say, Gnonto, I mean, I guess they're different positions, but if you're looking for a winger, I think for 45 million, I don't know how much Nico Williams would cost from Atletico, but I don't even think it would be much more than that. If it would be more than that, you've got other players like Kudus potentially available for cheap who can do a good job on the wing and is versatile. I like Brennan Johnson, and I do think he's a really good player, and he probably would fit into Postecoglou's system. I just think 45 million is a very, very big outlay. But then as well, you've got to think of maybe they're thinking of the homegrown quota because Kane's gone now. I think maybe we might be looking at a homegrown player to come
potentially
in as well.
Dier going as well.
Potentially Dier, so that might be of need.
Well, Dier's not even homegrown.
That's true. But if we do need a homegrown player, if I'm looking at maybe English wingers to come in, or English players in general, whether it be a centre back, centre mid, or winger, he's not a bad option to bring in. So if it's kind of forced upon us and we have to bring in an English player, you're paying a premium anyway. I don't think it's a bad move, Brennan Johnson.
Maybe that's why the likes of Ashley Phillips are in the squad this year, because of that homegrown quota. But I can't see us breaking the bank for someone like Brennan Johnson just for the English homegrown quota, to be honest. And look, as much as I like him as a player, I just think he's overpriced in this market. For 45 million, I can just see the Tottenham hierarchy balking at that and moving on, to be honest. Let's move on to Clement Longley. Paul Ballas, the Barcelona Athletic correspondent, says that Clement Longley is close to a move to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, so everyone can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, it seems as though this one ain't happening. All reports are now saying the Tottenham move has collapsed and that's not going to go forward. I think that's the right decision, and we shouldn't be paying especially 15 million euros for him. 100%, that should be out of the question. The only way this deal would be remotely acceptable if it was an extremely cheap deal for Tottenham on the financial side, and even then I wouldn't have done it anyway. But I just think he's not. I don't think he's a perfect fit for the system. I don't think he's worth having in the squad. He's someone you're going to have to move on very quickly anyway. So I'm just happy that this deal doesn't look like it's going to happen now. For
yeah, well, let's see what other centre-backs we're linked with before you say that. But let's move on to the final story of the update surrounding Troy Parrott. Sports Pito says Troy Parrott is a loan target for a number of clubs this summer, including 2 Eredivisie teams, 1 Bundesliga team and 1 La Liga team. In terms of his development, where would you like to see him go?
Probably the Bundesliga would be the best fit, I would say, because it's a very attacking, open league. And if he can get into a team where he's got space to attack in and can finally show off his finishing ability in the final third, that would be the best. Obviously, Eredivisie would be next up, in my opinion, because I think playing in that league, the standard is probably lower than Bundesliga, but it's still good enough to test yourself. I think La Liga is probably a step it's too much of a step up right now for Troy Parrott. I don't know if he can handle the La Liga, so I think it would be. I'd love it if I can see him. We've seen it, young talents go from the English league to the Bundesliga and really develop there, and so I think he should look at those examples and think that would be perfect for him.
Do you think La Liga is a step up to the Bundesliga in quality?
Yeah,
I'm not so sure, to be honest. I mean, you've got the top teams who are obviously a massive step up. You've got Bayern Munich and Dortmund and players. I think you've got more actually good teams in Bundesliga than you do in La Liga.
I think the La Liga teams are constantly going far in Europe as well. Like you've got Sevilla, Villarreal, always in the latter stages of their respective European competitions. I think there's definitely more. I think it's a higher quality league, yeah, for sure. I really do believe that. I think it's a lot tougher to play against. I think the teams are better organised. I think, and if you go to Bundesliga, it's so open. Every team is like high line, high pressing, very much an open league. And yeah, it's more entertaining, but I wouldn't say, especially defensively wise, I don't think it's higher quality than La Liga.
Yeah, defensively wise, I think you've got a point there. But I don't know. I just feel like there are more like decent teams in the Bundesliga than there are in La Liga. But you would say that the top caliber of teams are better in La Liga than they are in the Bundesliga.
Potentially.
That's the kind of way I look at it. But anyway, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.